Hi everyone, welcome to The Grind and Happy New Year! Yes.
I thought you were going to do bells, but it's
Yeah,
not
I was
Christmas
waiting for the
anymore.
bells, but I guess it didn't
The
happen.
bells are done.
The bells are done.
Next
Now it's the
December.
full Halloween. But anyways, what are you looking forward to? What are you looking forward to in 2023?
Trip. Going on a trip.
What's that trip? What kind of trip are you talking about?
Tripping.
No, trip abroad.
Trip aboard. Yes.
Aboard
Yeah. Just want to go out with the kids.
and no wife, huh? You left out the
And the
wife.
wife.
I was like, just like,
Leave her alone.
she has to be included. It's very important. Yeah.
I'm looking forward to
Getting
getting
married.
married.
somebody's gonna get married. I'm not saying who, but I think you know him very well.
Soon.
Oh
Yep,
man, I'm
that's
excited for
happening.
that too.
That's happening.
What's happening? Wow. Traveling, definitely. Just so excited that the vaccine pass and all that stuff is being scrapped. So that is very exciting. Looking forward to traveling and one day the mask be gone. That would be ideal. If it ever happens.
Hopefully sometime this year.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Hopefully sometime this year. Okay, well how about like, so what's the one thing that you want to accomplish in 2023?
Produce music. Boom. I don't even know what that means, but yeah.
I mean, you've been coming up with like your original songs that you've been featuring in staff worship, so
Yeah.
I try to.
And
Those are unfinished, so.
unfinished. Sounds pretty finished when we're worshiping to it.
That is true. But yeah.
It's also what you got an iPad for.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Rico Tunes. It's actually Rico Bells.
Rico Bells.
Can you hide bells in the track?
Maybe
To-
like
to-
what do you
to
call this?
read. Like an Easter egg.
I was gonna say yeah, Easter
A
egg.
ching 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 in the background.
I hope to put a successful and fun wedding together.
Oh,
that's
you
true.
best believe it's gonna be
Yeah.
fun because it's gonna
Yeah.
involve us.
It's
Yes.
also it's also a Chinese wedding, so
Very good.
there may be a ceiling on the fun, but who knows?
But when the grind is involved,
It is
Oh,
awesome.
dear.
exactly, there is no ceiling.
Check back in a few months. We'll let you know how it went.
Yes, check back in a few months. I am hoping to accomplish, I don't know, we'll see if this is even possible, one singular pull-up. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
I think
it's
that's
tough.
doable.
I think we
No,
need.
you can.
I think we need video footage of it when it happens.
Yeah, when it happens, because the other time I was like, I was trying to do like a test and I was like, that's it. That's I'm just hanging there like, no, I cannot do so. If I can just, do one singular pull-up, I'm good. Here's the hoping that 2023 is going to be great. Now, here's another question for you guys. Sounds like completely off in the deep end, but what is life to you?
Wow.
I know, right? Also, can I just, point out our new beanbags? Thought we start 2023 with new beanbags.
Yes.
Yeah.
Life is getting new great.
And we decided to
Well,
give
not
Rico,
using-
yeah, we decided to give Rico the old one.
I
But,
miss my old one, but this is nice too.
Yeah, I just want to address to the audience. Look at this. Anyways, yes, what is life to you besides, enjoying it in beanbags?
Life is a roller coaster. Just gotta ride it. As the great songwriter Ronan Keating once said. That's for you 90s babies out there.
Ronan Keating.
What's
Life
on that?
is- Life is a roller coaster. I forgot the tune, but
Anyway,
I remember the lyrics.
Life is beautiful.
What are we quoting, like
Songs.
movies and
yes,
songs?
because we have no solid answer to this so far.
Yeah.
What is life? What is life to you, Pastor Petrina?
Well, life is about enjoying. It's
Wow.
about eat, drink, and eat. Nah, I would say life is, I think, loving others and doing that well, and also pursuing a relationship with God. Yeah, I think that would be life to me. Know God and make Him known. The Wire Web logo slogan. Yes.
I think for me, life is accepting the no's, like what you know,
Yeah.
and the unknowns.
Oh.
So like no's meaning like the people that love you, the people that care for you, and the unknown meaning like you know that eventually our lives are gonna end, and we have no clue what it is, and just accept it and try to accept it, and enjoy the people that is around you that you know. So yeah.
I like it. I guess life is
Roller coaster.
no. Well, besides that, life is doing good for others as often and as well as you can.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I once did this trip with a few people, and we went to Japan, and we did this project where it was like a documentary, and we were going around interviewing different people, asking them what is life to them. And so we got some really interesting answers, like, oh, life is, having fun, life is about eating good food and serving people, because we asked one guy who was a chef in a restaurant. And then, because also one of the things that we wanted to tackle was also the high suicide rates in Japan, and kind of like talk about the importance of life.
Yeah.
So it was an interesting project, and we got to meet various people and from all walks of life. And so I guess the whole topic of life is what we're going to be talking about in this series, Ecclesiastes. It was written by possibly the wisest person, and so it's probably really good to listen to him. And also Ecclesiastes is known for realism about human life on earth. So really, I guess the question, what is life to us? The writer is talking about it, what is life to him. And basically he starts the book and ends the book with life being everything is vanity. So just a couple things. So the Hebrew word for vanity, as we heard, is hebel or hebel. Anyways, probably Jewish is like, wow, you guys are massacring this word.
Butchered the Hebrew language,
the Hebrew language. Anyways, it appears 38 times in this book, and it basically means the brevity of life and the absurdity of life. It doesn't mean without meaning. And so here's my question is, have you ever felt this way about life? Like, it's absurd, it's really short. When was that, and what was happening in your life at that time?
Ooh.
I know, going deep real fast, like a roller coaster.
Thank you. Life is a roller coaster. Just gotta ride it.
Just like this grind episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know, right?
Sorry, dude.
I honestly think when I was studying, that's when life felt really absurd, because I was working, but my family was paying money for me to do the work.
Now comes the part where we throw our heads back and laugh. Ready?
Ready!
As opposed to getting paid to work. We were paying so that I could work. When I was writing my dissertation, I just thought, this is ridiculous. I never want to do this again.
Oh, now that you say that, what was ridiculous for me was I was in an open book exam. You would think that's the easiest exam to be at, right?
Yeah.
Open book. I had no idea what I was doing in the exam. It was open book, I didn't know how to do the exam. That was absurd.
I think for me it's just my time in college as well. Just the time when I was working so hard in rehearsing my parts for piano, and then our recital just got cancelled, and I needed to wait for another month. Which the problem was, I totally forgot my piece already.
Oh.
So it's just the fact that you've done so much time and then it didn't happen and you mess up.
What's the point?
Exactly. What
Yes.
is the point?
So that's why I have a saying now: practice makes perfect. But nobody's perfect, so why practice?
Do you tell that to your kids?
No.
That's just one for you.
Yeah, that's just for me.
I'm just thinking. Yeah, don't be a motivational speaker.
Don't
No,
quit
no,
your
that's
day
not
job.
true, guys. Practice
Stick to your-
makes perfect.
Stick to your day job. I'm sure we all have, as we mentioned, we've all been in moments in life where like this does not make sense at all. Like, why is this even happening? And also just imagine like if like engineer pet doesn't sound right at this point in time.
That's because nobody says engineer
And your name.
and your name.
But it sounds cool though if you call it Engineer Chan.
No.
Oh.
Changineer.
I don't ask for these. What? Why? Every time.
Sorry, bro.
You're not sorry.
Stop it. Get some help.
It
You
just
know,
came out. No,
it's
I'm not.
the absurdity of life. You know,
Yeah,
we're just
that is
absurd.
absurd.
Yeah. Okay, so anyway, so the word Hebel, as mentioned, 38 times in the book, it actually is coming in the name of Abel in the story of Cain and Abel. And honestly, I didn't know that Ecclesiastes was deeply influenced by Genesis 4. I'm like, when I first read it before, I was like, okay, cool. But actually, it's deeply influenced by Genesis 4, written with Genesis chapter 1 to 4 in mind, and basically the worldview is built on the creation story. So actually, since we pretty much grew up in church, what has been your previous takeaways from the story of Cain and Abel?
Ooh. Honestly, not much.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, for me, it's just
It's
jealousy gone bad.
it was like two brothers fighting. What's new? Like,
Fighting to the death.
or yeah, but fighting
Well, I
to
mean,
the death.
technically, they weren't fighting, right? The guy was just murdered.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's so short. So it's like it's a Bible story. You read it once and then go on to the more interesting parts.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just remember, I don't remember whether this was a subconscious thing done by my family or at Sunday school. Basically, it's like, oh, you need to take care of your brother. Don't hate your brother.
Oh, that's
because,
right.
Subconsciously, they feel like if you hate your brother, you're gonna stab him in the back.
something like that. Because, I'm the older sibling, right? So I could be like a Cain, and Cain's all like, oh, it's not fair. Why do you like this one but not that one? And I would tend to be that kind of person.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's not fair. Why did, my brother get away with that and I didn't? So I feel like that was probably before Cain and Abel's like, you gotta be better than Cain, love your brother no matter what.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think similarly, if there was any sort of takeaway, it was like, be like Abel.
Yeah.
Like, do your best for God.
Yeah.
And bring your best. Like, basically, in a world of Cains, be an Abel.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think
Be
that.
an enabler.
They're on fire today. Oh my God.
On fire.
Sorry, guys.
Anyways, we're back on track. So, Abel's life was ridiculously short, and in fact, I don't think he had any lines in the Bible at all. Yet, from this life spanned a book of Ecclesiastes.
Right.
So, even though his life was really short, I think we can learn basically a lot from this.
Yeah.
And in a way, we see ourselves as, in a way, we are Abel's, right? Because our life is short,
Yeah.
and our life is, but a whisper, a vapor.
Yeah.
And, if you compare it to like eternity. So, here's another question: how does your life reflect that of Abel's? And what are some things in your life that you've seen happen that doesn't make sense?
I feel like, I don't know how should I say this, but there are times when I feel like whether I work harder or not, the outcome is the same.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
Do you get what?
Yes.
Have you
Yes.
have you experienced that?
100%.
It doesn't have to be within your work in the office or wherever
Yeah.
you are at. It's just in general, like the things that you do even at home when you're doing stuff all alone and trying to make things work. But then you try to make it in different ways, but then at the end of the day, the outcome is still the same.
Mm-hmm.
So I think those are the times when I feel like, what's the point?
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Or like, oh, I've done all this for you, God, but yet things aren't going your way. So it's like, and I know that's a bad, wrong way of thinking, like you're working for God, but definitely that thought has crossed my mind, like, hey, I've done this for you, God, I've pursued you, I've, put you first in my life, but yet things aren't going my way. Like, so what's up with that, God?
Yeah, I mean, I've thought about because I had asthma when I was a kid.
You did?
Yeah, I did.
Oh.
Which meant I couldn't do a lot of sports or whatever, and so now my respiratory system is a bit worse than yours. That was beyond my control when I was a child, right? So it's that doesn't make sense. And I didn't do anything to warrant this or whatever. It's just one of those things that happens, right? So in a sense, that also doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, like kids getting sick, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah. And then dying of cancer also doesn't make sense.
Yes.
So in a way, how our life reflects that of Abel's, there are things that just doesn't make sense, and even though we think we did our best, we still get the short end of the stick.
Yeah.
Which is very unfortunate. in a way we are like Abel, because Abel represents life outside the garden after the fall.
Yeah.
You know, yes, we do our best, we try to live for God, but at the end of the day, like things may not happen the way we think it should. And so, but we have God in Christ who addressed the effects of the fall. And so in a way, like Abel is a type of Christ in the sense where, you know, like Abel, Jesus lived a very short life as well.
Yeah.
And he had no kids, no heir, but he lived a very meaningful life. So I think what's really cool is that, you know, with the whole idea of Jesus, he came to restore us, to redeem us, to give us his righteousness and give us meaning in life. And so, yes, even though this life may be short, it's brief or whatever it is, but we can still have a very meaningful life. It's the matter of like, what do we do with it?
Yeah.
So we are new creations,
Yep.
and we have a new name, we have a new identity. So we know that in the future there'll be a new heaven and a new earth. So here's my next question: is what specific areas of your life has God redeemed or made new?
Okay, new creation, I think for me would be new perspective. Like that is one thing that has changed in my life over the course of this, especially during this COVID season as well. Like just if it was me before and I would face the same situation I have now, I would be more panicky and more anxious. I feel that the season after, the Lord has really helped me with my mindset and my perspective as well. It sort of strengthened me in a way that there are certain things that I could be able to overcome more.
Yeah.
So that's what I think. Especially having kids, like there is a sense of vulnerability that you feel when you're around kids, and you're just constantly worried about them.
Right.
And because of how God has shown Himself to me, and being steadfast to Him, it just it just changes me.
Nice. I think just going off what I said before about being an asthmatic child, it has turned out that a lot of my life, the best memories that I've had have been made in like an athletic or a sporting situation. So me as a child, like I couldn't even run most of the time in primary school.
And the fact now that you love soccer.
Yeah, I
And he
mean,
was,
my
like,
best
you know,
my best memories
on
are
team.
like on a football pitch, either like kicking people or just playing the game or watching it. Like it's you know, I think God has I see all those memories in the way like God has opened those doors to me as like just you know a way that He has shown that everything is still possible.
Yeah.
Like how you said, like we're new creations despite all of this.
Yeah.
So it's not like I was like completely disabled and like I should never have been able to play sports.
Of course.
But like
Yeah.
it was never on the radar until like I got much older. So I do like treasure those things, even though my joints are like that now.
That's cool. I think God gave me a new mind. Possibly like just in a way, a new perspective, right? The way I see myself, and I think just because I didn't really think too much of myself, so I was more reckless with what I did. So I think with God, He definitely transformed my mind and helped me to understand His great love for me, that there is a purpose, because I thought to myself, like, what purpose do I have in my life? You know, what am I meant to be? What am I meant to do? And when I couldn't answer that question, I was like, damn, I might as well just die, you know? Shouldn't exist here. I'm just but a vapor. But that, I would say, was where God has redeemed me, you know, and given me meaning, and given me purpose. So, in a way, yeah, that's how I now face the brevity of life, is a relationship with God that drives me.
Yeah.
So, as we land this conversation, I guess, how would you brave the brevity of life? What kind of advice would you give to our fellow viewers out there?
I think for me, it's just whether if it's known or unknown, just face it full on. I mean, like, yeah, it's gonna be a very difficult situation, especially when you go to a point where you have like no clue, like everything is just, what do you call it? Like trying to just grab as much as you can,
Yeah.
but it's not there.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But yeah, face it full head on, knowing that God is gonna be with you in that journey,
Mhm.
and yeah, and through that process as well, just enjoy
Mm.
the things that you have. So
Yeah.
people you're around with.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, so.
I'd say, I mean, we've discussed how like, well, this message in Ecclesiastes has told us that like life is absurd and brief. But I'd say that despite that, if you let Him, God will continue to show up
Wow.
in ways that you may not expect. So like, I believe like it's easy to say just have faith.
Yeah.
But when you can't, that's when you can rely on other people around you to believe and hope with you, I
Yeah.
guess. But just know, even if it's just like a speck in the back of your mind, God will
Yeah.
show up.
Wow.
Yeah. I think, when you're doing it in relationship with God, then things does become a little bit more purposeful, meaningful. So yes, it may seem absurd, and sometimes you can get caught with like when things don't make sense,
Mm.
and you kind of lose focus.
Mm.
Yeah.
So when you have a relationship with God and when you have your focus on Him, I think it just kind of gives a little bit more clarity. And even though
Sure,
it doesn't
yeah.
make sense, you just kind of like pick yourself up and you carry on
Mhm.
because you gotta trust that God is having it all together. That you know what, we're not supposed to have all the answers. And yes, we live in an imperfect world, but it really is okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just making the best with what we have.
Yeah.
And times are tough, but we live it to the fullest
Amen.
with
Mhm.
God.
Amen.
So kind of partnering with Him, and I think that's why, this year we really are talking, encouraging everyone to really read not just read, but study the Word, because I think when you are so grounded in the promises of God and His Word, it also provides that sort of security and truth and knowledge that guides you in life. Hey, if you're struggling with anxiety, we know that, hey, we can cast our anxiety on God because He cares for us. That's our deal. So,
Amen.
and that's something to think about. It's life, everything may be vanity, but with God in the picture, it's better.
Yeah.
Amen.
It does make sense. Does provide meaning. Anyways, we've got about a couple more weeks talking about Ecclesiastes. It's going to be really interesting going through the different questions and also kind of tackling this book. And I
Yeah.
think, again, if it's written by the wisest person, then, you gotta listen to what he's got to say, right? So,
That would be the wise thing to do.
yes. All right. Well then, thanks for joining us. Hope you have a great discussion amongst yourselves about this book, and we'll catch you next week.
Yep.
Bye.
Bye.